No update yet, Lindsey. He won't be in practice today.
Possible that you guys would designate him to return at some point this week, or is that waiting until next week?
It's possible, but we'll let you know. We'll let you know as soon as possible.
What about Derwin? He was estimated to not practice. Is he?
Yeah, it's day to day.
Close to?
Yeah, day to day. It's today would have been a rest day for a lot of guys, but we're going to try to get him back. But we're definitely going to err on the side of patience, and we'll let his body talk to us.
Any surprise with Derwin's injury, considering he was able to finish that Raiders game?
He wasn't 100% going into the game, that's for sure. I think if you watch the tape, it would show you the same thing. He just battled it out for us. Just going to make sure that he gets the rest that he needs so that he can come back and finish the season strong.
What do you guys see from Derrick Henry?
One of the top players in the league. Has been one of the top players in the league since he got into the league. As good of a college back as there's been. And then he's the engine of that team. Whether it's running the ball, whether it's catching the football. He's outstanding, catching the football too. He'll catch a check down off play action and take it a long way, catch a screen. He's very difficult to tackle in space where they can kind of clear some things out for him. But just does it all at a high level. And for a guy that's as big as he is, people don't realize how fast he is. I mean, he has those long runs because he has, elite speed too, and just runs with power, runs with good pace, and he's been a productive player every year, and he's at the top of the league. So, a very difficult guy to defend.
A couple of weeks ago, you guys went up against Josh Jacobs. Is there any comparison to maybe comparables between both guys, or is Derrick Henry just different?
They both went to Bama. That's where the comparison is. I don't know how they get all those guys, but they're very different runners stylistically. But the thing that they do that's the same is they break tackles. They break tackles, and they create a lot of yards after contact. And I think that's where they're the same. Is they just they're very good at that. And again, we've faced our fair share of backs, but Derrick is certainly at the top of the list in the league.
He's obviously hard to stop, impossible to stop. But when he's been slowed down, I guess common theme is that you're forcing him to move laterally before he can get ahead of steam and get 3 to 4 steps in a row. How do you guys go about doing that? Is it just simply about getting penetration? Is there a different way to do it in terms of sort of forcing him to move horizontally before he gets to the line scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would. I think you make a good point in terms of maybe how you would look at it. I think, you can't let good running backs get started. When they get started, it doesn't matter what their style is. If they can get started within the play, then they're going to have a chance to be successful. So, it starts at the front of your defense at the point of attack is establishing the penetration, the knockback at the point of attack, making sure that you have edges in your defense. You guys have heard me talk a lot about when the ball gets to the DBs. That's when you see a lot of the long runs happen in the league. So, got to have really good edges, and then your second level, got to be fitting where it needs to, and then you got to go attack. You got to go attack, and you got to go play team defense and tackle the guy with more than one guy. And that's what we're going to try and do on Sunday.
Jim, Monday you mentioned talking about the red zone and the importance of being able to run down there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain why is that? Other than obviously being advancing the ball, having that element?
There's not a lot of space to throw it down there. You lose the vertical space down there. So, going that way is a great way to be an effective red zone team. And I think the best red zone teams that I think of, and running the ball is different in terms of how people do it. Some people get in big groupings, some people spread you out. But to be able to hand the ball to your back, I think is a great way to do it. And just finding that consistency for us and how we run the football down there, I think is important. So we're working hard at it, and it needs to improve for our team.
Brandon, since the bye week, it seems like you guys have had trouble scoring in the third and fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. It happened still on Sunday. You guys only managed 6 points in the second half. Can you put your finger on what's going on in the second half that you guys aren't able to put the ball in the end zone as consistently as maybe you guys would hope?
Yeah, Fernando, definitely the third quarters, that's been a reality for us. Just the common theme for me is just execution. I think when I think of our lack of production. That's what I think of. And, I think our guys are aware of it, and we're working hard to correct that for sure. But it comes down to execution for us. And again, staying out of negative plays, sacks, penalties, those are killers. And then you got to be able to, get the explosions and convert their downs. And so, it just has to be cleaner coming out of the second half. And, our guys are aware of it, and we're gonna work hard to improve it.
Do you think getting Mike and Keenan back now healthy?
That will certainly help things.
With the red zone with Donald coming back, how much could he maybe, we've seen him do some stuff there.
Yeah, Jeff. I'm excited to get DP back. I'm really proud of him. He's been extremely patient. His patience has been tested. But to get him back, it's going to be great to have him back in there. He's been a very productive player for us. He's got size. He's got run after catch ability. He's been a good blocker for us, which, as you guys know, last year was a very important part of his job. That was kind of a surprise for us. So to get more tight ends in the game, kind of add him in the mix with Gerald and Trey and Stone, we think that's going to be, hopefully a thing that helps us down the stretch here.
The
The expectation is he will play Sunday?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
With the way Jasir played on Sunday, how does that help you in terms of with Bryce dealing with this injury? Do you maybe deploy Bryce a little more sparingly, move him around? Like now that you've seen the way that Jasir can play in the slot, you have that sort of proof.
Yeah, I think Bryce is one of the top players in the league. So if he's healthy, we want to be able to use him. But I think what Ja proved, Daniel, that I think is important is that he can play in the slot because you don't know until he's out there whether he can do it or not. And so to do it against those two guys who are as good as anybody in the league, just now we know that you have another slot defender. Like we know for sure. And that is awesome in the NFL, is to know that you have a backup, star that can play, that's a starter. And we think that that's a winning edge for us, because when you're trying to play DB groupings and you have to go cover people, the more cover guys you have, the better. So the fact that he can cover in the slot, maybe he could play somewhere else. Maybe he could play money, and cover somebody. So, and he can play outside corner for us too. And so, we're just going to try to continue to get our best players on the field. And, it was a performance last week that we were really excited about, because, you get an op like that against a good offense, against, two receivers like that, you really get to see what they're made of. And he was up for the challenge. He tackled really well. And to see that, that tackling is so important to defensive football. And he did that well. And he was assignment sound. And he's going to continue to be a factor for us on special teams, as you've seen for us. Like our young guys are doing really well for us on special teams. And that's going to continue to be a big role of his as well.
Is Tennessee's, do you find their offense more one-dimensional than most NFL teams, whereas you can really just focus on one guy?
Man, I wouldn't say that. I would say that, Ryan is as experienced of a quarterback as you're going to find. Ryan has played in the league a long time, has been very productive in Tennessee, and has made a lot of winning plays for them. I think when I think of him, I think of mobility. I think of accuracy. He's got a very good arm, very accurate player. Can really get outside the pocket and make things happen as well. And they have good skill players. I was with Robert Woods in L.A. and I know what a great player he is. What he is. As tough of a guy you're going to go against. Treylon Burks, the rookies, come on. They've got good tight ends. Jeff Swain and Hooper and Chig, the rookie from Maryland. They're a very good offense. They just play a style that's different than most nowadays, but it's a very difficult style to defend. And so they're a team that's had one of the top records in the AFC now for 5 or 6 years. A team that's gone deep into the playoffs, and they have our full respect. And a big reason why is how they play on offense.
With Kyle Van Noy, what have you seen from him, both on the field and then maybe off the field, in terms of his veteran leadership as the game get more important here? Yeah,
I think Kyle's been an incredibly important asset for us on this football team, providing that experience, providing the versatility. When you go down a bunch of injuries, he's able to step in and really play a role that we weren't counting on him playing, in terms of just being a starting edge player and playing on the edge every single snap. And he's just been able to fill in and do that at a high level. Had a big time rush the other night, playing the run tough, and he's doing his job on third down, which is kind of what he's famous for, what he's kind of trademarked. But we're going to need all that down the stretch, and as we get guys back, he's going to be one of these guys that we lean on heavily within the game planning process. And then off the field, he has all those that championship experience. He can really talk to guys about, how to play deep in the season and how to play your best football, because he's been a part of it. He's been a part of all different types of teams, veteran teams, young teams, anywhere in between, teams that start hot, get hot, whatever. You can lean on all that with your team, and that's one of the big reasons why we wanted him here. He's been great for me, has helped me tremendously, and you can't have enough guys like him. And then he's been able to team up with guys like Khalil, guys like Derwin, guys like Sebastian, Foxy, Bryce, guys that have a lot of experience at other places doing it at a high level. And now, you're seeing him bring those guys together and then our young guys. So he's been fantastic for us.
As someone who's come up on the defensive side of the ball, I'm just wondering the air raid offense. Is that something that you studied much at any point in your career? And if so, how much, as a defensive coordinator, has that presented a challenge there?
Yeah, Lindsay. Number one, just want to send my deepest thoughts and prayers to Mike Leach and his family. And when you think of air raid, you think of Mike Leach and the impact that he had on college football and pro football. He's one of those guys where you'll remember what he brought to this game forever. You will. An impact in college football, pro football, the lives of a lot of players, a lot of coaches, and I think that's what's been incredible to see over the last couple of days is the impact that he had on so many people in the game of football. There aren't as many true innovators out there as you think, and he's certainly one of them. And I think that when I think of offensive football, there's a simplicity to the air raid. There's a simplicity of how they get lined up. There's a simplicity in the types of plays they run. But I think of, execution. I think of production. I think of getting the ball to your best players, of, playing a certain style and believing in that and getting people to believe in that. And, just one of those special coaches. Again, I know some guys who have worked for him. I know some guys who have played for him, and they all say the same thing. And I think it's great to celebrate his life. And, as a football, historian, as someone that loves this game so much, as a former quarterback and now a defensive coach, you see all the staples of that system everywhere in football. From my kids, youth 7-on-7 leagues, at the youth ages, all the way to the highest level in the NFL, and then everywhere in between. And that's when you know that you've made your mark on the game.
Did you ever cross paths with him?
I did not, unfortunately. I would have loved that. Because I'm sure that he would have made my game better, and because he did it for so many other people.
With Mike Davis, you mentioned on Monday just sort of challenging him to, use his length, use his physicality against pressing at the line of scrimmage. Just over these last 3 weeks, is his improvement in what we've seen from him, is that like him sort of taking that challenge and executing what you've been asking him to, or have you been putting him in more situations where he can press and use those tools in those situations?
No, I think Daniel, he's taken that challenge of how I think he, I've talked about the discovery process a lot, and sometimes you have to have time on task, and I think he's been with us now where he can take all those coaching points that have kind of been there since the beginning, but he can really make them come to life now, and I think that he knows how much it can help his game. And I think he can see it. And sometimes when there's a big transition for you, like a big system transition and then a technique transition, it just takes time. But he's really taken on the challenge of playing that style and then taking that style against some great players and just playing them nose to nose. And, I'm just really pleased with how he's played. And, as you guys have heard me say, defensively, if your corners play well, you're going to have a chance, okay? If your corners play well in this league, you're going to have a chance. And that's why we had a chance the other night against that group, is our corners really, really played well. And when we've played well here since I've been here and everywhere else I've ever coached, okay, and any other box score that you see, if the corners play well, you'll play well in the passing game. And he's been doing that for us.
Last year at this point, you guys were in a similar situation where if you guys won out, you guys would make it to the playoffs. and you guys obviously, unfortunately, didn't make it, but what did you feel like you learned about not only yourself, but about your team last year that could be different going into this back end of the stretch?
Yeah, Fernando, I think it's a good question. I think you really learn how to manage the last part of the season. Last year was a little bit different because of COVID. I think COVID was really, that was something that we had to navigate, and it happened to us at the end of the season, and so that was very unique. But I think you got to be playing your best at the end. It's about how you finish in this league, and last year, the record was 1-3 down the stretch, and we didn't finish our season. I thought our guys competed, laid it on the line, but we didn't get it done. And so I think after last season, I just, I knew that you got to engineer your whole program for this time of year, for December, and we tried to do that last year, but just making the subtle tweaks to the schedule and getting the guys, fresh and playing well, and the focus and, just their routine at the end of the year, I think is really important, and bringing them together the best you can. And I think hopefully getting healthy at the right time, getting your guys back healthy at the right time, getting that addition that can help you go play well, on Sundays. So learned a lot for sure, and, we'll see.
Going back to the defensive scheme that worked on Sunday, and you don't have to get like too far into it, but how well it worked, did that encourage you to play it more? Were you already playing it and it just worked well, or does it just differ week by week of what the plan is?
Yeah, I mean, we play the things that we play. I think how we expressed it in that game plan was unique to them. But our guys would tell you we play the stuff that we play all the time. I think how we wanted to make it look, and some of the specifics of the game, that are just specific to Miami. Those things are part of every plan, but really, I thought what happened in the game plan is our guys had full command over it. And they knew the chapters that we were going to have to reach within that game plan in order to play at a high level throughout the game, not just how we started the game, but how we were going to play in the middle and at the end. And that's what I thought you saw, was just command over the game plan. And then it wasn't, from the football standpoint, the X's and O's standpoint, I'm proud of that, and I loved it. I love it all. But the best thing our guys did is they played so hard. That's the best thing our guys did the other night. The scheme, that took care of some things, but how hard our guys played and the technique that we played with, that's what won us the game, and our players deserve all the credit, because they took the field and they made all the winning plays.